what you can write about, what are the good things and some of the not so good things that you could write in your career episodes. We're also going to talk about the summary statement, a very important document, in my opinion, one of the most difficult documents to write in the validation process. We're going to talk about the risks of plagiarism. It's a very big risk. Many engineers, they make this mistake and they commit plagiarism, which is very serious. And also we're going to talk about the Engineers Australia revision process. If your application does not really have the outcome that you are expecting, it's not just for when they don't approve your application, but you will see that there could be other reasons why you can apply for a revision or an appeal. All right. Okay, so I would like also to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I'm holding this online event. I am in Brisbane, so it's the Turrbal and the Yagara people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging, and also acknowledging any Aboriginal or Torres Straits Islander people that are participating or watching this workshop, this live session. And for those that still don't know me, maybe you saw me in Instagram and decided to participate in my live session. My name is Gerson Ida. I'm the founder of the website www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website that I created in 2019 to share information and to help you guys to validate your qualification as an engineer here in Australia. And I'm very happy that you are participating in the workshop, and I really hope that the information that I'm sharing with you since Sunday, it's going to be useful in your journey to become an engineer in Australia, like Philippe did today. Okay, and also I would like to remind you guys about the 75% discount that you could get in my mentoring program that I'm going to open a new group tomorrow. So very easy. You just need to do few things. I'm just going to show you here. You just need to go to my post in Instagram, and I'm going to put the link in there. I'm just going to get out of the glare. So you need to go to this post here in my Instagram profile that talks about the 75% discount. And there are a few things that you need to do that are written in the description. One, to take a screenshot of tonight's live session and then post in your stories and mark my profile in your stories so I know that you publish a stories with the screenshot. And then you go to the post, you like the post, you mark someone. You don't need to mark 3 times. As long as you mark someone is all right. And an engineer would be better. And also write comments in the chat. 3 comments, and each comment is about one learning from the live session. So for example, in live session number 1, I've learned this. In live session number 2, I've learned that. And in live session number 3, I've learned this one. And that's it. When you do this, you become eligible to get 75% discount, the chance to get a 75% discount in my mentoring program. Tomorrow, during the closing webinar, I'm going to explain everything about my mentoring program, and I'm going to upload the comments in the system, and the system will then choose somebody to win the 75% discount. You need to be participating in the closing webinar. If you are chosen and if you are not participating in the closing webinar, unfortunately, you will not win, and I will do a redraw. The system will choose somebody else until that somebody else fulfills all the rules, and also that somebody else is participating in the closing webinar. So make sure that you don't forget. I will make a few other reminders during tonight's live session as well. And if you don't really have the post, I will paste the link of the post in the comments, and you can go there and then do what you have to do. All right. Okay, so to break the ice, what I've got here, to break the ice, I'm going to play a very quick video from Walter. It's just 28 seconds, where he talks about that he didn't really want to waste another year in his life. He came here, as we saw in the beginning of this workshop. He came to Melbourne, and he was working unloading containers, and he thought it was going to be easy to validate his qualification, but it wasn't. And he didn't really want to waste another year, so he wanted really to get his validation done so he could start searching and improving his chance to get a job as an environmental engineer. So let's play Walter's video, and hopefully that will work.
Anos adiando esse sonho, adiando essa possibilidade de trabalhar como engenheiro, de validar meu diploma e de repente procurar uma oportunidade de engenheiro aqui, ou as outras coisas que vêm pela frente, como um sponsor, ou até a cidadania para quem pretende ficar aqui mais tempo. E adiando isso, e eu não podia mais. Eu não estava preocupado mais em perder o investimento do curso, em perder o valor do curso. Estava preocupado em perder mais um ano da minha vida.
Yes, and unfortunately, many people, they do this. They get used to the money. For example, you get your money, $25, $30, $40 an hour, and then you get used to that. You work your 20 hours, 24 hours, whatever per week. You get comfortable with that because you can pay your rent, you can pay your course. Obviously, you can live here, you can save some money, and then you ended up not pursuing the validation of your qualification, and then you think like a very good procrastinator. Yeah, tomorrow I'll start, next month I'll start, next year I'll start, and when you realize 1, 2, 3 years gone past, and you realize that if you don't do anything, it will pass another year, another 2 years, another 3 years, and you never do it. And I've got some friends that they work in student agencies and also as migration agents. And they say that if you are like a professional student, because you're renewing your course all the time, it will come a time that the immigration department may not renew your student visa, because they're not silly. They see that you're not really a genuine student. You're just here studying so you can still work. So just gotta be careful. Just gotta be careful with that. Yeah, but Walter did the right thing. He bit the bullet, and he did everything, and we'll see towards the end how did he do it and how long did it take for him to do it. All right, so we spoke about the first type of report in the CDR process, the competency demonstration report. The first type of report was the CPD, the continuing professional development that we saw last night. Sorry, just have a helicopter passing here. I think he's probably taking somebody to the hospital, unfortunately. Yeah. So the CPD is your first type of report. And once you have your CPD, you also need to think about your career episodes. The career episode is your second type of report, and the third type of report is your summary statement. But the career episode is a report of your engineering education and or your work experience. It's important to say that each career episode should focus on a specific period or a distinct aspect of your engineering activity. It's important that when you write in your career episode, especially if you're writing about work, and if you have already some years of graduated and some years of experience, it's important to pick experiences from different aspects of your engineering experience. That's to show the evolution of your engineering career as well. Oh yeah, Gerson, but I don't really have that variety or that diversity of experience. I was doing always the same thing. Well, preferably, it would be better if you can choose from different periods of your engineering career and different aspects of your engineering career. But if you don't have it, well, if you don't have it, you don't have it. You have to write about the experiences that you have. If they are all the same thing, you need to write about the same thing. Perhaps you can mix. You probably can write something about your engineering academic experience. And also you can write about your engineering work experience and mix the two, maybe. So your career episode, it's important to say that you need to write 3 career episodes. So they need to be obviously 3 different experiences. And if you don't have work experience, it can be just with your academic experience. Engineers Australia does not require work experience to validate you as a professional engineer. Why is that? Because Engineers Australia, in this validation process, Engineers Australia is validating that your engineering qualification is equivalent to an Australian engineering qualification. So pretty much they rubber stamping that your degree is similar to an Australian degree. So that's why they're not requiring you work experience. However, if you have work experience, it may be a little bit easier to demonstrate few other competencies. Because sometimes when you're doing just academic experiences, there are some of the competencies that maybe you didn't do when you did your academic project, for example. So, few other things that you need to know about career episodes. Where you can get your experiences from to write in your career episode. Well, there are a few different ways that you can get your experiences. It could be an engineering task that you performed during your university or your undergraduate degree when you were studying, a project that you have worked on or you're still currently working on, a specific position that you occupied or you're currently occupying, or an engineering problem that you had to solve. I particularly like the last option, this engineering problem, because an engineering problem, when you develop the solution and when you explain how you resolved that problem, it's very logical. And you need to understand that the assessor, the person who is going to be evaluating your application, is also an engineer. And engineers, we are very logical. If you have your career episode about a problem, what usually is a problem resolution method? You state the problem. So this was my problem, engineering problem. And then I researched about the problem. And then I came up with different options to resolve the problem. And then I compared the pros and cons of each option. And then I use my engineering judgment and my engineering competencies to analyze which option would be better. And after I use my engineering judgment and analysis and competencies and skills, I decided that option B was going to be the one to resolve the problem. I then implemented that solution, and I did this, and that using my engineering skills, judgment, competencies, and I resolved the problem, and the result was this one. And the benefits were those ones. I achieved the objectives, and you can explain how you did it, what you did it, how you did it, and what were the outcomes that you achieved. So it's very logical, and engineers, the assessors that are engineers, they certainly like when it's logical because they can obviously understand very well. Another important thing that I need to talk about the career episode is that there is a little bit of a structure for the career episode. As I said, Engineers Australia assessor, he or she, they are engineers and they probably like to see a logic behind. So it's important to have a structure. In the current booklet, there's no really format or structure, but in the previous version, there was like a little bit of a structure. And I teach my students for them to follow this structure, so it becomes very logical. First of all is the introduction. Introduction, you will obviously introduce the reader in the career episodes, and it's not much. It's about between 50 and 150 words. And then you go to the background. You give a background, you give the reader or the assessor a background which is going to give the context in which you were studying or working. And the background will have about 200 or 500, between 200 and 500 words. After the introduction and background, you're going to write the main body of your report, which is going to be your personal engineering activity. And that is the body of the narrative. In the personal engineering activity, it's where you're going to write what you did it, how you did it, demonstrate some of the calculations of your design, all the design processes, the fundamentals of engineering that you used, and then all the other competencies as well that you used to resolve that engineering problem or to deliver that engineering project. It's important always to write the career episodes in the first person and always in the past, because the career episode is a narrative of the past. It's something that you did. So if it is something that you did, everything is and must be in the past. And if it is something that you did, it needs to be always in first person. So I did it, I calculated, I designed, I delivered, I researched, I made. So everything about about me. I know that we learn nowadays that it's always we and us, the team, etc., etc. But to Engineers Australia, in this case, you got to be very selfish. They are not interested to know what others did. They just interested to know what you did. Yeah, Gerson, but in my experience that I'm going to use, we delivered the project as a team, as a group. How can I take ownership of the work that others did? No, you cannot, and you should not, and you must not do it. If you take ownership of somebody else's work, that is plagiarism, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on. So it's okay for you to use an experience that was done as a group, as a team, as long as you define very clearly what was your role, what you did in that group, in that team. You can say that we did this and we delivered that, but you need to say clearly what you did in that team, in that group. So that's very, very important. So you've done the introduction, you've done the background, the personal engineering activity, which is going to have between 600 and 1,500 words, the main body of your career episode. And that's very important as well, that you always have evidences of your engineering experience. What sort of evidences? When you say, for example, that you calculated or you designed something, and if you used a technical specification, you could say that I used table 10.1 from specification XYZ. If you have a screenshot of the table or diagram or picture, put in your career episode and then put a legend referencing that. This is table 10.1 from technical specification or technical standard number 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So very important to demonstrate that you actually have evidences. If you did AutoCAD drawings, take a screenshot of that AutoCAD drawing and put in your career episode as well. If you developed spreadsheets, if you developed tables, if you took photos of the machine that you built or designed, take a photo, grab the photo and put in your career episode. But please, don't include things that you didn't do, because this is plagiarism and you will get in trouble. Many engineers already got in trouble because they used photos from the internet. Jason, but I would like to use a picture from the internet to show, because I don't have pictures from the work, I just would like to show, to illustrate. Yes, you can, but you need to be very clear in the legend of that picture that you took that picture from the website just for illustration purposes. You cannot claim that was actually that one there, that you did it or you've done it. So I would avoid, in the first place, if you can, I would avoid and wouldn't really use any photos from the internet. But if you don't have any other choices, then as long as you clearly give credits to the owner of that photo or that picture, and you clearly say that that's just for illustration, so the assessor understands about the machine or can have a look at the machine or something like that. But other than that, I wouldn't really use that. And then once you finish the main body, the personal engineering activity, I would then, the final structure is a summary of your career episode, where you give a little bit of a conclusion to the career episode, where you're going to say that you've achieved the objectives that you laid out in the beginning of your career episodes, and your participation was very important. You work as a team, or you work as a team leader, and your engineering skills and competencies got improved, and those sort of things, etc., etc. So it's always important to conclude the career episode with a very strong emphasis in your engineering competencies and skills. So that's very important. And obviously, when you're writing your career episodes, you will see that the booklet asks you to number the paragraphs. How does that work? You have to write 3 career episodes. So when you're writing your first career episode, your paragraph number will start with number 1. And then that is to identify the career episode. Career episode number 1. So it's 1 dot, the first paragraph is going to be 1. So 1.1 is career episode number 1, paragraph number 1, 1.1. And then you write your introduction paragraph. Let's say that your introduction has 2 paragraphs. So 1.1 is going to be the first paragraph of your introduction. And then the second paragraph will be 1.2. That is your second paragraph of career episode number 1. You finish your introduction. And then your background will follow, which is going to be the third paragraph, or starting with the third paragraph, your background. And then will be 1.3. And then you write your paragraph of the background. If a background has 3 or 4 paragraphs, you just keep going. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. And what's the reason why you have to number each of the paragraphs? I will explain in the summary statement, but the reason is that when you write in your summary statement, there is a column in the summary statement that you need to number the paragraph where the Engineers Australia assessor can find the evidences of the competency. There are 16 competencies that you need to address according to Engineers Australia summary statement, and for each competency, you need to tell the assessor that he or she will find the evidences in paragraph number, let's say 1.10, because there are 16 competencies. Let's say that the assessor is looking at the competency number 10, and then which is P 2.4, and then it says something. But then the assessor needs to, all right, where do I find the evidences of 2.4, competency 2.4? And because there's a column that says the number of the paragraph, let's say 1.10, 1.12, 1.20. The assessor then goes straight to that paragraph in the career episode, reads that, and then he or she can verify if what you've written matches with the competency. If it does, he or she will tick, and that's it. If what you've written does not match with the competency, the assessor may say, sorry, but that paragraph doesn't address the competencies. Please rewrite your paragraph or rewrite your summary statement. So that's why it's very important, and I'm going to explain and going to show you in the Engineers Australia website the template that they have for the summary statement. All right, so career episodes, again, 3 career episodes. You've written the first one with introduction between 50 and 150 words. You've written then your background, which is going to give the context. You have to draw like an organizational chart of the company and then highlight your position, where you belonged to that organizational chart. You have to write the objectives of the project, the nature of the project, the roles and functions that you did in that particular project as well. That's the background. And the personal engineering activity, between 600 and 1500 words. You will then, in detail, you're going to talk what you did, how you did it, include the evidences there, and then the summary, which is going to be between 50 and 150 words as well, just as a conclusion of your career episode. And then obviously you write one, then you're gonna write another one, and you're gonna write the third one. One question that I usually get about the career episode and that's very critical. If you have to pay attention, you should be paying attention to the whole live session. But if I have to ask you to pay attention at least to one thing, and that's probably a learning that you can put in the comment in the Instagram, is that the choice, when you choose the experience that you're going to write in your career episode, that is very critical. You need to make sure that the experience that you're choosing is matching the definition of your occupation in the ANZSCO occupation definition. And I'm going to show you here, probably I'm going to do like a little mini tutorial. I want you, and that's going to be good if you participate and if you engage. The first one that writes in the comment in YouTube and Instagram, I will show in the ANZSCO occupation definition. I'm going to open that occupation, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about that particular occupation and give you guys a little bit of examples. So I know that there's a little bit of delay between when I ask you and when you get this, but I'll be paying attention here. The first person that put what type of engineering you are, I will then open in the ANZSCO occupation definition. So make sure that you're very quick and you put in the comments either in YouTube and Instagram, and I will then open the ANZSCO occupation definition of that occupation, and we will have a little bit of discussion there. So hopefully it's probably going to be coming now. In the meantime, we'll be opening a new Google Chrome, and I will set up Wagner Mechanical Engineering in Instagram. I'm going to unpin that comment because I don't need that anymore. So Wagner in Instagram, and let's see who's in YouTube. What's happening? Well, it looks like that YouTube is not accepting the chat. Why is that? Yes. Wendell, mechanical engineer. Well, mechanical engineer was the same. So in YouTube, if you're watching YouTube and you type your occupation again, a different occupation, because it looks like Wagner and Wendell, both mechanical engineers, and they can be benefited with that. So if somebody else in YouTube is a different type of engineer, you still have a chance, because then I'll show both. All right, so we'll just put Chrome in there. All right, so that is Thomas Broom, electrical engineer. All right, great. Thank you very much, Thomas. So I'm going to show mechanical engineer first. Slobo Sopitz, mechanical engineer as well. Oh, I've got plenty of mechanical engineers. So how do? You put ANZSCO mechanical engineer in Google, and then you need to pay attention. You gotta make sure that you put with the Australian Bureau of Statistics, which is the federal government agency. And then when you click on that one there, it will bring up the group, Industrial, Mechanical, and Production Engineers. So it's very good idea to read everything here, but you need to go to the specific occupation. So we're talking about mechanical engineer. And mechanical engineers, they plan, design, organize, and oversee the assembly, erection, operation, and maintenance of mechanical and process plant and installations. So this one here, and I'm going to copy and paste in the comments so you guys know. And also I'm going to copy and paste the address. Just going to do that in Instagram as well, and the link there as well. So that is for mechanical engineers. So mechanical engineers, very important that whatever experience that you choose, you need to make sure that you either include those verbs: plan, design, organize, oversees, and you gotta see here that you pretty much need to do all of this, especially design. Mechanical engineers, I've seen many mechanical engineers that they didn't put design experience and they got in trouble. The mechanical engineer is supposed to design. So it's very important that if you're going to apply as a mechanical engineer, that you have a design component. So if you don't really have a design component in your experience, your career episode becomes weak. And as you know, my students, I try to make them understand that their career episodes needs to be very solid and very strong. And the way that they make their career episodes very strong is, especially if they are mechanical engineers, if that they include design experience. Oh, Jerson, but I don't have a design experience. Well, if you don't have work experience with design, I strongly encourage you guys to go back to your university academic experience and try to find a design experience, because it's going to be much, how can I say, much stronger and much more solid experience for you to include in your career episode. And mechanical engineers usually, as evidences, they have AutoCAD drawings, they have the systems and the softwares that they use for mechanical design. All the design process is not just the calculation, but all the design process. You need to remember that design is not just about calculation and formulas, etc. The design process is about defining the scope, talking to the client, writing design briefs, selecting and choosing materials, and then obviously calculating and analyzing and formulas and using diagrams and tables and those sort of things, preparing bill of quantities, preparing technical notes, technical drawings and those sort of things. It's all design process. All right. So this is for mechanical engineer. And then Thomas is an electrical engineer. So where you go, you still go to engineering professionals here, engineering professionals. And under engineer professionals, here you can find pretty much all the engineers in ANZSCO. Chemical and materials engineers, civil engineer professionals, electrical engineers, electronics engineers, industrial mechanical and production engineers, mining engineers, and other engineering professionals. So electrical engineers, Thomas is electrical engineer. So it's a good idea to read everything again, obviously, but you gotta go to the specific one, electrical engineer. And electrical engineer designs, develops, and supervises the manufacture, installation, operation, and maintenance of equipment, machines, and systems for the generation, distribution, utilization, and control of electric power. So that is for electrical engineer. And we're going to have a quick discussion about it. I'm just copying and pasting that one there in Instagram and also in YouTube. YouTube has some word limitation, so I have to cut few things here. Distribution, and I'm going to copy and paste again, so you get the rest, and also the address here. Yeah, limited to 200 characters, I think. All right, so as an electrical engineer, designs, develops, and supervises the manufacture, installation, operation, and maintenance of equipment, machines, and systems for the generation, distribution, utilization, control of electric power. So I've seen examples of people designing generators, people designing switchboards, people designing electrical circuits, and street lighting, power distribution, power generation, electrical power substations, and those sort of things. So these are the things that either low voltage or high voltage. So that's the sort of things that you need to do. And design component is quite important as well for the electrical engineer. So you just got to make sure that whatever experience you're going to choose for your career episode, that experience matches the definition of the ANZSCO occupation definition. ANZSCO stands for Australian and New Zealand Standard Classification of Occupations. And that's from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, which is the federal government agency. So if you are an engineer of a different field, you will find here, you can click in any other engineer professionals. There are a few different ones here: aeronautical, agricultural, biomedical, engineering technologies, environmental engineer, naval architect or marine designer, engineering professionals, NEC. The NEC is the one that I spoke yesterday about, the metallurgical engineer. If your occupation is not in the list here in the ANZSCO, then you need to apply under the engineering professionals NEC, which is this one, and you use that particular code. This occupation group covers engineering professionals not elsewhere classified. So it could be mechatronics engineer, product design engineer, and any other engineer that's not in the list. All right, so that was a little bit of a tutorial about how you actually Identify if your experience is relevant according to ANZSCO occupation definition. So I'm going to play a quick video again from Layla, and she's going to share with us some of the hints that she's going to give you guys of somebody that got validated that made her life much, much easier. So just bear with me and I will play that straight away.
E na hora que você abriu o e-mail, que leu assim...
Nossa, foi assim, um alívio, parecia assim, 50 quilos das minhas costas, sabe? Foi muito bom, uma sensação assim maravilhosa.
Que dica que você daria para quem está pensando, né? Como você estava pensando, né? Lá em junho, julho do ano passado. Bem, eu preciso começar.
Change.
E na hora que você abriu o e-mail, que leu assim...
Nossa, foi assim, um alívio, parecia assim, 50 quilos das minhas costas, sabe? Foi muito bom, uma sensação assim maravilhosa.
Que dica que você daria para quem está pensando, né? Como você estava pensando, né? Lá em junho, julho do ano passado. Bem, eu preciso começar esse processo da validação. E está meio ali na dúvida, tal. Que dica que você daria para quem está começando esse processo? Assim? Uma dica de quem passou pelo processo, teve dificuldade e chegou lá e foi aprovado.
Na verdade, a pessoa tem que tentar identificar o que está acontecendo, assim, o que está travando ela. Se assim, eu não tenho aqui comigo, ou está difícil de achar os projetos, ou sobre o que eu vou falar, ou eu não sei nem por onde começar, eu não sei como escrever. Tem que identificar qual que é o seu problema e buscar ajuda, sabe? E eu acho que a principal coisa é tentar identificar o que está pegando, por que a pessoa não tá conseguindo começar, porque não é uma coisa fácil, sabe? Não digo nem que é fácil, não é uma coisa assim, é uma coisa trabalhosa para fazer. Então, assim, achar o melhor momento para fazer, quando não vai ter, sabe?
Não.
Então, tem que se conscientizar que é importante, tentar entender, é importante para mim isso. Se tem que fazer, começar logo, sabe? Começar logo e tentar identificar qual que é o problema. Eu tenho tudo, tenho material, é só começar a escrever, ou não, eu preciso de ajuda. Então, buscar essa ajuda, sabe? Se for o caso.
Yeah, very, very good hints, Layla. Yes, you just gotta do it. That's pretty much her message. If you get stuck, do something else. Being stuck is not an option, because if you get stuck, you're not going to move forward, you're not going to advance, and you're not going to get validated. So yeah, valuable tips and hints. Hopefully the audience here, you that's watching this live session, you will take that on board and follow that. All right, so the next topic is about the risks of plagiarism, and I'm going to start that telling you a very sad story. A very sad story that from a message that I got from one engineering colleague of us. He's an engineer, and I remember I was working, and then I got this message from WhatsApp, and he was sending me a message saying that Engineers Australia rejected his application, and because he used pictures from the internet. And then Engineers Australia rejected his application and imposed a period of 1 year of banning. So at that time, 1 year was the maximum time of banning. So nowadays, it can be up to 3 years, depending on the severity of plagiarism that you ended up committing if you do. So And I said to him, sorry, but I can't really help too much. If you really copied things from the internet and you used in your career episode and Engineers Australia caught you, there's not much I can do. He could try to justify, explain, ask for the revision process. But if he did it, well, there's not much to be done. And there are other ways also that you can be caught by plagiarism. And I'm here, as I said yesterday, I'm not here to give you guys a lecture to say what you should and what you should not do. I'm here just to make you aware of the risks and the things that usually Engineers Australia will catch you. And if you get caught by plagiarism, you can be banned up to 3 years. And not just that, they will inform your information, your details, to the Department of Home Affairs, which is the immigration department, and they might start some investigation, because plagiarism is unethical behavior, and unethical behavior is a breach of the Engineers Australia Code of Conduct, and it potentially could impact your character assessment. If you are applying for visas, you know that the Department of Home Affairs, they will assess your character. And if you don't really have a good character assessment, they might reject your visa. And if you don't have a visa, you have to go back to your country. And if you want to stay in Australia without a visa, it's even worse. So you need to make sure that you don't fail your character assessment, especially if you're planning to become a permanent resident, if you want to become a citizen here in Australia. If you fail your character assessment, it can be very damaging to your visa application. So you got to make sure that you don't put yourself in that situation. And what other things that can happen or you could do that potentially could be classified as plagiarism? First of all, it's important for you to know that when you write in your career episode, you need to write about your own work. So the career episode needs to be based on your own work. You cannot write about somebody else's work and say that you did that work. If you write about somebody else's work and say that you did that work, it's unethical behavior, because you're lying. You're not telling the truth. You're taking credits of somebody else's work, and that's not okay. Engineers Australia classifies that as unethical behavior, a breach of the code of conduct, and you will be banned for up to 3 years. So don't use somebody else's work. Another thing is about obviously copying things from internet. On the internet nowadays, you can probably find examples, templates, people's career episode. I've seen many people that put in the let's say here, I'll do a very quick question. Who in the audience, probably just for the Brazilians, so who in the audience is in that Facebook group, Engenheiros na Austrália, in the Facebook group? Who in the audience here is part of that group? So if you are part of that group, just say me or I in the comments, and you will know what I'm going to talk about. So if you're part of that group, you will see that some of the members, when they get approved, they actually share their career episodes in the group. And when you see that people share their career episodes in the group, obviously they probably trying to help, and they trying to give other people an idea of what they did and those sort of things. But they giving people temptation to, even if you don't copy, but it can be very, very similar, can be very, very close. And Engineers Australia, they use a very advanced plagiarism detection software, and it will detect. Even though people say, yeah, I'm sharing my career episode, but please don't copy because you can get caught by plagiarism and those sort of things. I know that people, they want to help, they want to give an example, they want to give an idea, but if they want to give some help, why don't they do like me? Teach how to do it. Spend hours and hours and hours, thousands of hours teaching how to do it. But don't put your example there, because people get tempted to copy. And also, unfortunately, in that group, those people, the other, unfortunately, Brazilians, that they are offering help, do you know what they do? They write on your behalf. And it's a big risk of getting caught by plagiarism. So a lot of people, they ask me, Gerson, do you write career episodes? And I say no, because it's not ethical. Unfortunately, other people, they do. Well, they gotta probably do something for a living. I don't need. I do this. I could stop today, and it doesn't make any difference for me because I have a full-time job. So I really would like you to help. And I don't want you to be at risk of getting caught by plagiarism, because when you go to the internet, if you put competency demonstration report, you'll find many, many different companies, many CDR writers, and even Engineers Australia, they are aware of that, and they get caught. A lot of people, they get caught. So I just want to make sure that you know about the risks. If you choose to use those services, I don't care. I'm already an engineer. If you get caught, you're the one that's not going to become an engineer. I'm just here to alert about the risks. You choose to do it, that's fine. It's your risk. A lot of those engineers, they call me later on, Gerson, I got caught by Engineers Australia. Can you help me? And I say, sorry, but I can't, because one, I don't give one-on-one consulting. More than, 100 people ask me already if I give one-on-one consulting. And I say, no, I don't, because I don't have time. If I want to give you consulting services, I need to be available for you, because that is your expectation. And because I don't have time, and that's why I do my workshop on Sundays and at night, because it's after work. It's a time that I don't work, so I can do in my own time. Because during the day I work and I cannot give you time. Lunchtime, sometimes I respond to my students. They send me questions in the group that I have with my students, and then in my break, in my lunchtime, I respond to some of the questions. But I cannot give one-on-one consulting. And people that get caught by plagiarism, they ask me, Jason, please help me. I pay you $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. But I say, sorry, but no. It's very tempting, but I don't do this. One, because you have, but I don't say that. I don't say, oh, I told you. I don't say that. What I I cannot understand is if you after you get caught, you're willing to pay me even $10,000 to help you. I don't know why they don't become my student, paying a fraction of that, and they do without the risk of being caught by plagiarism. I just cannot understand. But people do whatever they want to do. Another cause of plagiarism is about saying that you used a software to do something. And I have another engineer that called me asking for help because he got caught by plagiarism, because he said that he used the software to do something. And the Engineers Australia assessor said, well, how come you said that you used this software in your experience back in 2005, for example, if this software was just released in 2007? So the person didn't even take care or pay attention even to know when the software was released. The person said that I used the software 2 years before the software was actually released. So, comment from Flavia. Some professionals like to take the easiest way. Yes, unfortunately, easiest way is the riskiest way as well. Because Engineers Australia will catch you. They have very advanced plagiarism detection softwares. And those ones that I said me in the comments that they are part of that group, you know what I'm talking about. And you probably be asking yourself, Jason, why don't you publish in that group and help engineers? Because I cannot. The group administrator doesn't approve my posts. So that's why I just sometimes I make some comments and I respond to some of the comments. But I have many posts that I try to put in there, sharing some experiences, but the group administrator doesn't approve my posts. So that's interesting. I don't know. He thinks that I'm going to make millions of dollars if they approve my post in there. But interestingly, that he approved the posts of other people that they also sell unethical services. Yeah, a lot of people said to me, Jason, you should report those people to Engineers Australia. Well, I know people in Engineers Australia that they could go after that, but they want to do it. They want to do it. They want to be unethical. They can be unethical. They're probably not going too far here in Australia because Australia will catch up with them. All right, so this is about the risks of plagiarism. So if you're really, really desperate, even if you're really, really desperate, I don't really recommend you to do it. It is tough. It is difficult. It will give you a lot of work to do by yourself. It will, but it's not worthwhile. All right. Just going to see the comments there. Yes. And another reminder, the link is in the comments. If you didn't put your screenshot and your comments in the post, in my Instagram. If you go to my Instagram profile, there is a post about the 75% discount of my mentoring program. You still have time. You still have until tomorrow before I do the draw. You just need to take a screenshot of the live sessions 1, 2, and 3. Post in your stories and mark my profile in there so I get notification that you posted in your stories. And then go to the post, like the post, follow my profile, mark someone, and then write in the comments one learning from each of the 3 live sessions. And then when you are participating tomorrow in the closing webinar, I will upload the comments in the system, and then the system will choose somebody that will be the lucky winner of 75% discount of my mentoring program. So don't miss out that opportunity. All right, so a lot of talking. I will be sharing another testimony from Layla. That's going to be the second last video. There's not a lot of videos. I've just got another one after this one. So I'm going to transition there and do that. It's just going to be, I think, 1.5 minutes.
Enfim, daí eu comecei a buscar, procurar informações na internet. Só que o que acontece? Eu tinha visto bastante aqueles casos de ser banido por plágio, por várias coisas, de pessoas que contratam serviços de empresas para escrever os seus episódios da carreira. Isso está muito claro no site do Engineers Australia, que é o candidato, né?
É vermelho, bem grande ali.
Exatamente, que é a pessoa que tem que escrever o seu episódio da carreira. Então, eu estava procurando alguém que me orientasse a fazer os episódios da carreira. Daí eu te achei pelo Facebook, eu vi alguns vídeos tu compartilhando conteúdo, dando dicas. Daí eu entrei em contato contigo pelo WhatsApp, eu acho. Eu escrevi no WhatsApp, perguntei se tu tinha assim, se tu dava consultoria, ou se tu ajudava, tinha algum serviço assim, fazia. E tu falou que não tinha ainda, mas que tu estava planejando começar muito em breve. Que nesse processo todo, por mais do tempo da correria e tudo, eu tinha uma tranquilidade de saber que eu não seria banida por plágio, ou que eu teria qualquer problema nesse sentido, sabe? E eu tinha a tranquilidade de saber que o que foi feito fui eu que fiz, sabe? Então isso foi muito importante para o processo. Eu acho que é isso que o pessoal que está querendo querendo trabalhar como engenheiro aqui, a gente tem que pensar muito nesse aspecto, sabe?
Yes, very important. She really had that certainty that all the work that she did by herself, and she was not going to get caught by plagiarism. And she did it. She got validated as a civil engineer there in Tasmania. All right, I'm going to talk about the summary statement. Summary statement is the third type of report that you need to write in your competency demonstration report. And I classify the summary statement as one of the most difficult documents that you have to prepare in the validation process. And why do I say that? Because the summary statement, and I'll open up here soon the template in Engineers Australia website, you will see that there's lots and lots of competencies, and you need to write a few things. So what I'll do, another piece of tutorial. So how you do this, you go to Engineers Australia website again, and then you go to for migrants, migration skills assessment page, prepare your application, then you go to the booklet. So that's your booklet. I forgot to transition, so I'll go back there. So Engineers Australia website, sorry for that, and then you go for migrants, and then migration skills assessment page. Just a second. Where is that? This one. And then you go to prepare your application. And then you go to the booklet, prepare your migration skills assessment application, PDF. And then you scroll down. And here you can see we just talk about plagiarism. And Engineers Australia, right already in the first page here, ethical standards. They say here, plagiarism means presenting work completed by others as your own or copying other people's words. This includes having your career episodes or summary statement written by any other person, including a professional writer or company. There are serious consequences for this conduct, including immediate rejection of your application along with a 12, 24, 36-month ban on applying again. When unethical behavior is found, Engineers Australia can impose or extend a ban at any stage in the process. Your details may be reported to the Department of Home Affairs. So very, very serious. But for the summary statement, what you need to do, you go to the categories here. So the summary statement, depending on the occupational category that you choose, there will be one for professional engineer category. There's a different one for engineering technologist, a different one for engineering associate, and a different one for engineering manager. Why is that? Because of the level of competencies that you need to demonstrate. Obviously, the professional engineer is the highest level that you can achieve, so the type of competencies are going to be more complex. The engineering technologist, the complexity level is going to be slightly slower. The engineering associate is going to be slightly lower again. And the engineering manager is a totally different set of competencies. So, what category are you planning to apply for? Are you planning to apply for professional engineer, engineering technologist, engineering associate, or engineering manager? Put in the comments, and I believe that you guys are probably going to apply for professional engineer. But yeah, put in the comments, and then I will open the one that probably has the most of comments. And again, if you haven't hit the like button, maybe that's the time now. It doesn't cost you anything, and obviously it motivates me to keep going. We already 1 hour and 20 minutes, so I'll be probably finishing up fairly soon. But yeah, don't forget to hit the like button, and I will appreciate. So Slobo Sopit, sorry, I don't know your name, but that's your profile, says professional. In YouTube, anybody there in YouTube there? So yeah, until we get the delay, sorry. All right, so we'll open the professional engineer at this stage and then see how we go. So professional engineer. So this is the summary statement, and that's probably the only template that you can use. You can use the template from Engineers Australia website. And you will find here the 16 competencies. So PE 1.1. PE1 is the knowledge and skill base, and it's got 6 competencies. And then PE2, engineering application ability, you have another 4 competencies. And then PE3, professional and personal attributes, you will have another 6 competencies there. And that will then make up the 16 competencies that you need to address in your summary statement, and also in, I say, each of the career episodes. So, how do you do your summary statement? Let's see here. Let's choose PE 3.1. So let's choose this one. We're talking about ethical conduct and professional accountability, which is very important in the Engineers Australia assessors. They really value this competency here. So how do you do the summary statement? Obviously, to write the summary statement, you have to have your 3 career episodes already written. It's going to be impossible for you to write your summary statement if you don't have your career episodes written. So once you finish your 3 career episodes, and don't forget that career episodes, you have the numbers of each paragraph. So we spoke about career episode number 1, and then career episode number 2, we'll start always with the 2. So 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, and so on. And then career episode number 3 will be 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. Each of those paragraphs will have those numbers. And let's say that for PE 3.1, ethical conduct and professional accountability, let's say that in one of your career episodes, you demonstrated that when you've been asked by your client, let's say that you are a mechanical engineer. You're a mechanical engineer, and then you designed a machine, and then the customer ask you, hey, Cesar, you're a mechanical engineer, and you designed this machine. So what about if you design also the footings and the foundation for that machine for me? And then you think, well, yeah, it should be okay. I'll just have a quick look about how I can design concrete footings and those sort of things, or steel footing. And yeah, that's all right. I'll do that. I'll help my customer. That is not okay. In Brazil, maybe you could do this, but here in Australia, you don't, because the footings, they need to be designed by a civil engineer or a structural engineer that's competent in structural design. So, and then you said, sorry to the customer, unfortunately, this design is outside of my competency, and I will have to refer you to a structural engineer or to a civil engineer that is competent in designing foundations for this type of machine. So if you write this in your career episode, you can actually then demonstrate this paragraph. Let's say that this paragraph is 3.11. And then you can write here 3.11. And a brief summary of how you have applied the element. You can say that in career episode 3, I have referred my client to a civil engineer to design concrete footing for the machine I have designed. And that is in 3.11, for example. So this is how you're going to demonstrate that you have addressed that competency. And obviously you can write other things, other examples that you did in your career episode, and then obviously refer here to the paragraphs. Let's say 1.13, 2.21, and those sort of things. So it's very important that the paragraphs numbers, they will match with whatever you've written in here. So very important. And you do this for all of those competencies. But why do I say that the summary statement is one of the most difficult documents to write? Just because, for example, you read this first one here, P 1.1, comprehensive theory-based understanding of the underpinning natural and physical sciences and engineering fundamentals applicable to the engineering discipline. Yes, you read that and then you think, what on earth am I going to write as an example of this competency? Yes, that is the challenge. And that's why I say that is very difficult. And then you say here, in-depth understanding of specialist bodies of knowledge within the engineering discipline. What are the examples or experiences that you're going to address in this competency? Yeah. Other ones. Knowledge of contextual factors impacting the engineering discipline. You need to find examples that you will have in your career episodes that matches with this competency here. And you have to write why you believe you addressed those competencies. So that's why I say to you guys that the summary statement is a fairly difficult document to write. And as you see, a brief summary of how you have applied the element. You have to write a brief summary of all 16 competencies. If you write about 100 words for each of the competencies, 100 words times 16 competencies, you will have 1,600 words. So just a summary statement will be around 1,500 words, even 2,000 words. So it's a fairly complex document as well. It's not, it's difficult just to write 10 words and that's it. In 10 words, you probably can't even, how many words did I write in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's 20 words probably in this thing here. So you can easily write 100 words in the brief summary. 100 words times 16, 1,600 words, 1,600 words. So it's not a simple document. It's not easy to write as well. So please pay attention to the summary statement because it's very critical document. Well, all documents are very critical. Probably the CPD, the Continuing Professional Development, is the type of report that is less difficult. Probably easy. Yeah, I classify the CPD as an easy document. But the career episodes and the summary statement, they are difficult documents. Cesar in Instagram saying, actually, I don't know Gerson because my experiences are more related with mechanical maintenance supervisor. Yeah, well, that could be a challenge. And João Victor is asking in Instagram, what level of English do I need to have? Well, I'd say, João, that you need to have a proficient level. Remember that you need to do your IELTS test or your English test. That can be IELTS, TOEFL, or the PTE. And you need to have at least minimum scores for each of the 4 bands. In IELTS is 6 in each of the 4 bands. PTE, you need to have at least 50 in each of the 4 bands. And those scores are probably the scores of somebody with a proficient level. But I don't know if you were here last night when I spoke about the mistakes. Even if you're not proficient yet, don't let that to hold you up. Start doing your validation. Start reading. Start writing draft reports. Start interpreting some of the texts. Start participating in webinars. Start participating in workshops. Read technical magazines. Read legislation. Read technical standards. It will help you a lot with your English. Another thing that people usually do that I don't really recommend too much to do, you can do it if you do it yourself. A lot of people, they write their career episodes, and I'm not giving you this idea. I don't recommend that. I prefer you to write straight away in English. But I can understand that for some people, writing in English can be a little bit of a challenge. So a lot of engineers, they write in their own language. Let's say if you're from Brazil, you could write in Portuguese, for example, and then you translate after that. But if you're going to translate, please don't ask a translator to do that. Why is that? Remember what I said before? If a translator writes in English for you, that's plagiarism, because it's not you writing. The report needs to be your own work. If you ask a translator to translate, it's not your own work. And also, a lot of people, they use Google Translator. I wouldn't do that as well, because if you do Google Translator and then you copy and paste, everything on the internet gives you a digital DNA. So if you copy and paste, you probably bringing some codes from Google as well. And I'm pretty sure that Engineers Australia will be able to detect that in the raw data in your Word document when you send to Engineers Australia. So if you want to write in your own language, that's fine, but then translate yourself. Try to translate yourself paragraph by paragraph. And remember that, and it's written in the booklet, that they will use the English that you write as part of your communication assessment as well. So especially if you have, let's say that you got minimum scores in your English test, 6 in all of the bands. If you got a minimum score in your English test, and if your reports are perfect or near perfect, the assessor will think, well, how come this candidate submitted a near perfect report and didn't get a score higher than the minimum? So that raises some question. That raises many suspicion. So the English in your report needs to be obviously, how can I say, compatible with the score that you got in your English test. If you got a 9 in each of the 4 bands in IELTS, or if you got 90, I think 90 is the maximum in PTE, then obviously if you provide a near perfect report, it's compatible with your English test. But if you providing a near perfect report, if you're asking somebody to write on your behalf, they're probably going to write very well and they're going to do a few other things. But if your English test is not good, that raises a little bit of a suspicion. Okay. So that is about the summary statement. And in my mentoring program, I emphasize a lot in the summary statement because I consider that a very difficult report to write. And then let's say that you get all your personal documentation, you've chosen your category, your occupation, you got translated your certificates, your diploma, and everything else. You've written your CPD, you've written your career episodes, your summary statement. You download, you upload everything, you submit your application, and you get your application is not approved. Usually, Engineers Australia will not decline or reject your application straight away. They're probably going to give you some feedback. Sorry. They're going to say, you need to fix this, you need to provide extra documentation, you need to provide extra evidences, or your career episode does not really match with your occupation, you need to rewrite your career episode, and so on. And they're probably going to give you 30 days for you to resubmit your documentation, your career episode, your summary statement, whatever. If you do this and if then they say, sorry, but your application was rejected, you can then do the revision. You can ask for revision. And there are two types of revision that Engineers Australia, they do if you're not happy with the outcome. And sometimes it's not because they didn't approve your application. Sometimes they give you a different outcome. Let's say that you applied for professional engineer category, but then they approve you as an engineering technologist. They didn't reject your application, but you're not happy because you wanted professional engineer, and they approved you as engineering technologist or engineering associate, let's say, because your experiences were not at that level or the higher level. And then you're not happy with that. So you can apply for an informal review. And obviously there is a form. You have to pay a fee and justify why you believe, why you're asking for an internal revision. And that internal revision is going to be done by Engineers Australia. They're going to put together a panel of reviewers, and they will review your application. And that can take between 8-10 weeks, according to Engineers Australia website. If you receive, after the revision, if they still not happy and they still don't do what you're expecting that they're going to do, you can then apply for a formal appeal. A formal appeal, obviously you need to fill the application form, you need to pay another fee, and you gotta wait a period. According to Engineers Australia, a formal appeal, because it's done by then an independent reviewer, it can take up to 9 months until you get an outcome of your formal appeal. So it can take a lot of time. So you need to really be careful when you are asking for those ones, because you gotta wait until the result comes back to you. So you just gotta make sure that you try to do your best so it doesn't get to the point of a formal appeal or an informal review as well. The details and the fees, they are in the Engineers Australia website. So you can, and there are some time periods. You need to apply for the informal review and formal appeal up to, I think, 3 months after your assessment letter for the informal review. And the formal appeal, after 3 months, you get the results of the informal revision. So there are some time periods that you need to follow. Okay, and in the last video that I'm going to share with you, very, very short, is from Walter. He's saying that what he didn't do in 3 years, he did it in 15 days. So can you believe or not? But it's not me saying. It's what Walter is saying after he completed my mentoring program. So I'll transition to that. And do I have it right? Testimonies. And I think that's probably this one.
Qual seria essa dica que você...
No, it's not that one. Where is that? Yeah, that's this one.
Daria para ele? Qual seria essa dica que você daria para eles? Estavam ou estão na mesma dificuldade que você estava quando estava fazendo o processo de validação? Que dica seria essa?
A minha dica é fazer as contas. Faça as contas. Como engenheiro vai ser muito fácil você fazer uma análise de viabilidade financeira. O que vale mais a pena? Você pegar a montoeira de material que tem na internet, desvendar esse mistério aí, linkar essas informações que estão soltas na internet, no YouTube, nos vídeos gratuitos, no teu material também, que tem muita coisa boa no teu material, e organizar isso por você mesmo, ou simplesmente pagar um curso que tenha isso organizado. Então, faça as contas. Se você é muito rápido para poder organizar material, se você tem essa habilidade aí, junte material na internet, estude por você mesmo. Agora, e veja quanto tempo isso vai levar, né? Se isso vai levar um mês, gastando, 3 horas por dia. Se não tem uma hora para você fazer a conta de quanto a gente ganha em dólar com um trabalho simples, com um trabalho de descarregar container, como eu fazia no início, você vai ver que 3 horas por dia acaba saindo muito caro, demorando para poder escrever. Então, eu demorei 15 dias depois que eu tinha o material na mão para escrever os 3 episódios de carreira e preparar a primeira versão do meu summary, para juntar tudo isso, lógico. Depois daí eu comecei a fazer as correções e tudo, discuti bastante com o Gerson. Até agradeço por isso, porque isso não estava incluso no nosso acordo inicial, então fico muito grato. Mas o que eu não fiz em 3 anos, eu fiz em 15 dias.
Yes, what he didn't do in 3 years, he did it in 15 days. And he's an environmental engineer here in Australia. All right, guys. This was a slightly longer live session, but as you can see, there was a lot of content to cover. I wanted to show you the Engineers Australia website as well, and how to find things and how to do things. Just obviously, I cannot really show a lot of things because we don't really have time for that. But I believe that in the last few days or 4 days, I managed to show you guys that the whole process, if you didn't know how to start, if you didn't know the process, I believe that now you do. You do know everything. You can start your application tomorrow by organizing, by planning. Remember what I said? The success of the validation process is about 80% planning, organizing, thinking, and 20% writing. I am not a good writer, but I developed a technique to write good reports. that's why nowadays I write very good reports, even though I don't like to write. I'm not a good writer, but I developed a technique to write good reports. And that's what I teach in my mentoring program as well. Even if you are not a good writer, you will write very good reports. You can easily write 3,000 words. My students, sometimes they come and they write 1,000 words. And then I say, sorry, but it's probably very shallow. You need to put more details. You need to write better. And after they complete the mentoring program, they watch all the classes, they will then write 3,000 words. And they say, well, now you gotta cut some words because maximum is 2,500 words. You can write a little bit more, but I usually advise them to cut to 2,500 words. So in tomorrow's closing webinar, 8 p.m. Brisbane time, I will do a revision of the whole process. So if you missed any part of the live sessions of the workshop, I will do a quick revision of the whole process. And also I'm going to have a question and answer sessions. And also I'm going to explain in a lot of details how my new group of the mentoring program is going to work. I will be opening a new group of my mentoring program. I don't really open all the time, but I will open a new group tomorrow. And there will be a very special offer for tomorrow with, well, I'm not going to say much, but there will be a very good offer for those ones that join my mentoring program tomorrow until Friday. Very special offer. And also tomorrow, I will be selecting somebody, well, the system will be selecting somebody that will get 75% discount of the normal investment. And you'll see it's going to be more than $1,000 discount for those ones. All right, for that one lucky one that wins the 75% discount. And also tomorrow I'm going to give away 15 minutes of free consulting. Cesar already won his 15 minutes of free consulting. We're going to have our session on Sunday, 8 p.m. Brisbane time, when I'm going to do a question and answer session after I deliver the 15 minutes of free consulting with him. So don't miss out tomorrow's closing webinar so you can have a chance. Just remember that you got to go to my Instagram post and follow the rules there if you haven't yet. Okay? And I hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow, 8 p.m. Brisbane time. I'm going to send you emails tomorrow morning and messages in the WhatsApp group and the Telegram. And also when I am live, you will be getting an email as well, just to let you know that I am live in the closing webinar of the workshop Engineer Journey 2023. Okay, just going to quickly double check if there's any comments or questions in Instagram and YouTube.